What's up? It's Robert from Existence First. Today, we're going to talk about when a sense of identity limits you. I first noticed this while playing hockey over the years because at the start of every new season, when a new guy joins the team, that first game that he plays is always his best game. He's super alert. He plays hard. He's on point. He's not distracted. You can tell he's totally in the zone, and he plays quite well. He plays to his maximum potential. But as the season goes on, he develops a sort of a sense of identity with the team. He becomes known as either the fast skater or the slap shot guy or the dangler. And in each subsequent game, he seems just a little bit more preoccupied about like living up to his reputation than he is focused, just totally focused on the game like he was in that very first game. Now, what I've noticed is that musical artists seem to follow a similar pattern. They have their network television debut on a late night show like Letterman or Conan O'Brien, and their performance is so pure. It's so authentic. It's like the hockey players. They're totally in the zone. They've got just one thing on their mind. It's their performance. No one's expecting anything from them because it's their first performance, and they just, boom, they just let it out, right? They don't care who's in the audience. It's go time. It's just boom. But when they're invited back for a second performance, usually a couple years later, there just isn't that same intensity. There's this like contamination of being a little bit self-conscious. I just don't get that feeling of authenticity anymore. And it almost feels like they're trying to get a reaction from the audience rather than just simply expressing themselves the way that they would if they were like in a room by themselves and they didn't think that anyone was watching and they were just singing their heart out, just like pure expression, right? So I'm going to show a couple clips and hopefully you can see what I'm talking about.
So in this first clip, we're looking at the Silver Sun Pickups performing in 2006. This was their television debut, as you'll see, and I'll stop it and break down a few things as we go. First of all, great music, great song. This performance, though, really, sometimes it gives me goosebumps just watching it. There's a part towards the end where it just sort of like blows up and in a crescendo, and the singer gets really, really into it. But let's watch the first few seconds. What I'll point out now is watch this. I think she's playing bass. I don't know music, so concentrated looking down, because in the next clip, which is going to be 3 years later, 2009, on their second visit, they're going to look a little bit different. Okay. And I know it's the lyrics of the song, but I think he has been waiting for this moment all his life to perform on TV. But I'm going to fast forward to the particularly passionate part. God, so much guts and heart in it. And then look at the way that they end. Look at this guy. Wow. So good. So good. All right, so now I'm going to go to the next one. This is in 2009, a few years later, and just see if the vibe feels different to you. Great song. Again, it's a great performance. I'm not saying it's a bad performance, but the vibe is just a little bit different. And as you can see, looking straight out at the audience versus being really into the instrument. See, the thing about the eye contact is if you're looking at your instrument, you're like totally lost in it, right? And if even more, if you have your eyes closed, which you'll see in the next artist, that means you're searching inwards, I believe. And so when people search for something inside, that's when they either look up or like their eyeballs go really high, or they close their eyes and they're like, and they're trying to think of something. That means they're trying to draw something from within. Versus when you're looking out, it's kind of like, okay, I know you're watching me. I'm watching your reaction to me, that sort of thing. So let's go to the next one.
Please welcome Janelle Monáe.
So this performance is so good. I watch it sometimes just to get inspired, but there's so much electricity, like literally like coming through her fingers, right? But look at the focus. There's so much focus here, and she's just on point. Everything is measured. Everything is precise. It's lively. I mean, you should really watch the whole thing, but I'm going to fast forward to the end. There we go again with the closed eyes. So this is going to contrast with the next video. So this is a second performance in 2013. The first one was posted in 2010. And let's take a look and see if the vibe is different. So it kind of strikes me as like a little bit hyper, a little bit antsy. And yeah, it's a different song, and maybe she was going for that, but I'm going to fast forward later to some key points here. She gets really in the face of the camera. This is something you would not have seen in the first one. In the first one, she was, boom, just expressing herself. This time, there's almost a little bit, look at me, look at me. And then a little bit later in the song, she even goes so far as to walk over to Letterman's desk. And yeah, it's entertaining, but I find it, you know, kind of obnoxious a little bit. Like, yeah, irreverence is sometimes fun if it's well timed and if it's calibrated, but this just seems like kind of unnecessary. Now, this begs the question, what would make someone feel such a sense of identity that they need to fulfill or that they need to live up to in their second performance? And the answer is here in the introduction. I'm going to rewind back. Listen to how Letterman binds her to an identity while introducing her to the audience. And keep in mind here, Letterman is the tribe leader. Okay, it goes deep into evolutionary psychology. The tribe leader, when the tribe leader speaks to the rest of the tribe and says, this person is this way, you better believe that they're going to act that way.
Honest to God, get ready and get ready again. Our next guest made their network television debut here a few years ago and just turned the dump over. Her sophomore album is entitled The Electric Lady. It'll be out tomorrow. What are we doing here? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the program, Janelle Monáe.
So in a way, it's like a warm, generous introduction. On the other hand, it really puts her into a box and says, you know, the first time she was here, she blew the roof off. So, you know, get ready, guys, right? I mean, what's a person to do besides, like, she's going to have to go dance on his desk now to live up to that image. But
now all this actually relates quite nicely to the existence first philosophy. The philosophy is that existence precedes essence. In other words, you exist first, you act, you perform, and then that in turn creates your essence. You don't start with an essence, you don't start with an identity, you don't start with, oh, so-and-so said you're this way, and then you just act accordingly like a blind sheep. No, you start with your actions, you start with blank slate. That's the philosophy, right? There's technical stuff we're not going to argue about, but it's a philosophy and it's a way of living, right? So you start with your actions. And so I have a very important mindset to share, and it's this: that every day is your debut on planet Earth. Just like you saw those musical artists and they were making their network television debut, you're making your debut on the planet. No one knows who you are, zero expectation, there's no role to play. If you were to authentically be you, what would that look like? I've said it in other videos, the most common regret in old age is wishing you had lived a life true to yourself and not the life others wanted you to live. I'll repeat that. The most common regret in old age is wishing you had lived a life true to yourself, not the life others wanted you to live. How well does that tie in with the examples from these videos? All right. You walk into the earth, you walk this planet, blank slate, however you want to act, boom, you act, you express it. Okay? Be authentic, think deeply, and put your existence first.